The following presentation is brought to you by Lock Poker.
Mimi is the only one I've ever heard Phil Hellmuth admit is better than him. One time somebody said, so are you better than Mimi Tran? And he said, well, I don't ever remember beating her. And
so
say
it's
I'm better
yes,
than
asterisk.
No.
Welcome to PokerRoad Radio. Sick merge. Featuring the very best in pokertainment.
Hey, it is better with expert analysis.
And you know this.
I mean, you would think the number one tournament player in the world would be a nice tagline to put under someone. And
well, you know what? I mean, they don't even say that. They don't even say that in the ESPN or anything like that either.
I was talking about Annie.
Yeah.
And now, today's PokerRoad host, Joe Stapleton.
Yeah, that's right. Shit got political this week. Hello, everyone. Welcome to PokerRoad Radio, brought to you by Lock Poker. Your hosts today are Scott Huff and myself. That's right. Scott Huff is here. I'm a guy who thinks getting felted is the reason why they hired the Royal Flush Girls. I am Joe Stapleton. We're coming to you from the 2011 World Poker Tour event, the Los Angeles Poker Classic. And we went over this in the Bahamas, Scott. It's a classic. There's a lot of classic things that happen here.
There is a lot of classic LA things happening left and right. So many classic LA things happened just between the time I got here and the time we got up here. Just walking through this room, it is LA Poker Classic.
That's right. There's so much classic stuff going on. We're going to cover that stuff in the last segment today. But it is the end of day 5, which means we are at a final table.
Do you have a sound drop for that or anything? There we go. I knew something was supposed to go there, not my voice.
Yeah. The final table. Not only do I sing badly, but I sing in the wrong part of the song.
Who's the guy who does the voiceover at the beginning of the shows now?
Those are all sound bites.
Is that Big Dog Pocket Fives Jarzaback?
No, that's Fewa. Johnny Newcomb handles that for us.
I knew I recognized that voice.
So that's right, kids. You're going to get a little bit of a final table preview show where Scott and I will handicap the final table, even though we know nothing about any of the players. We're just going to make some stuff up on the fly.
I know some stuff about some of these guys.
Yeah,
it's not like this is a complete airball of a final table. This is pretty good. That's actually great.
It takes the fun out of it, Scott. We're going to make stuff up about the final table because I said so.
Carlos Mortensen, 0-time WPT winner.
That's right. Carlos Mortensen looking to finally get on the scoreboard.
Vivek Rajkumar is the guy who produced Slumdog Millionaire.
Fantastic. Sir, we're in the middle of a radio show, but what can we answer for you? Play's done for the day. It's been over for a few hours. There's 6 players left. Why don't you tell them who's left?
Carlos Mortensen coming in with 5,235,000 chips. Vivek Rajkumar is in second with 5,185,000. In third, Amir Lahavot. Fancy that, 4,115,000.
Amir's a good friend of mine.
In fourth, Gregory Brooks, 2.3 million. In fifth, Daryl Fish. They're also reading this over my shoulder, so they know already. And in sixth, Steve Gross, the short stack, 1.32 million.
Let's give a shout out. What are you guys' names?
Typical Israeli name. Fancy that. I'm a very bad Jew, actually.
What is your...
I was not bar mitzvah, but I was raised Jewish, and I didn't even realize it was an Israeli name. So what's the real name?
Rosenberg Steingold. What is your traditional Israeli name? Vampen, that's your name.
It's a Polish Dutch name. I kept it because my father was the only survivor. So I said maybe one day I'll run into another guy like me. That's it. You Google me, it's only my kids under.
Wait, let's Google you. I'm sorry. Let's
Google Vampen.
Yeah, how do you Google your name?
P-A-M. Is in Victor A-M. P-A-N.
P-A-N. Vampen.
All right, see what comes up.
Well, there's a guy on Twitter named Shiri Vampen. Year of the Monkey. Is that you?
My daughter, Daniel Vampen, my son.
Daughter, hello.
Wait, this is your daughter right here? Year of the Monkey on Twitter?
Oh, man, yeah, that's the worst. You got to get rid of the Facebook sometimes.
Wait, this is your daughter right here?
That's Shiri.
She married?
Yes.
Oh, she's married already. That's probably her. Joe.
Well, that's in the wedding day.
Wow, hello.
How about
hello, Vamp and JR.
She's older than you guys, probably.
That's all right. I've never let this stop me before, but...
He's got a rich dad, too, so I don't know what happened to him. But anyway, Lehavot is Israeli. I'm trying to remember what it says. It means flames. Now I remember.
That means flames.
If you look at the fire,
Yeah, well, you gotta catch fire a little bit to make a final table these days. You got to catch fire to make a final table these days.
So wait, you got a piece of this guy, Amir Lehavot, or what?
Vampin', here's what we're going to do.
This show's a fucking dumpster fire.
You know what? And on Flames, dumpster fire, it all ties together. Also, with Blue Sig, right? With the Blue Sigs, Johnny. Let's give Vampin' a door prize. Hold on a second. We're giving prizes away. We're going to give.
Next time we're going to need a big part telling you on fire. Let's see what he says.
Yeah, he's going to be like, that's my name, on fire.
Yeah.
He can't say that's my middle name. He'll have to say that's my
What are you
first
giving
name.
away here?
Boom, right here. We're going to prize for Vampin'. You can smoke anywhere from bluesigs.com.
Make sure it's from China.
It's an LED cigarette. You can smoke it anywhere. You're over 18 years old, right, Vampin'?
Tell you what. You give it to the next guy, says he was donated by Mr. Vampin'.
Perfect.
All right. Everybody, round of applause for Mr. Vampin'. There we go.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
We've had one cameo appearance.
That man right there, he has no Google ganger. You cannot
right.
find him. He is the guy.
We're playing the
All
band,
done.
but Vampin's still going. What's
Yep.
up? Yes, final
are the 6
table 2
final
days
guys.
from now. 2 days from now. Yep. Thanks a
All
lot,
right.
man. All right.
Yes, Vampin'.
One more time, everybody, for
Vampin' is Hebrew for does not get it. And at all. Does not get it at all.
If there are any other Railbirds, by the way, want to come by and have Scott and I tell
David Ben-Gurion, you want to stop by?
Yeah,
Golda Meir, any other prime ministers of Israel that want to stop by and have a quick convo with us?
absolutely. We will hook you. We'll tell you who's at the final table. That's what we're here for. Anyway,
Oh, man.
this is our final table preview show. That's another classic right there. Classic moment.
That's a classic moment everywhere on every tour. I mean, the guy, we were reading them to them. You offered for us to read out loud at the final table, and they both just perched on either one of my shoulders and read it over my shoulder anyway, and then would not leave.
I'm glad you read it, because them reading over your shoulder over radio, what we were doing was horrible radio to begin with.
Sure, absolutely.
With them reading over your shoulder on the radio, one step below that.
Well, not until they showed up. It was okay radio until they showed up.
It was adequate, marginal. And the guy threw my door prize back in my face.
That was kind of bullshit. Also, if he could have seen you, if you could have seen that whole thing, though, that would have been good. That would have been good webcast. We should have saved that for the Jess and BJ show.
Oh, Vampin', thanks a lot. You really made the show. We've chewed up 10 minutes of airtime already, so that's good.
Can we go play poker yet?
I don't have a lot to do. Yeah, Scott's co-hosting with me because we're basically we've both figured out that in the lives of wives and girlfriends that you kind of need an excuse to come down to a casino. So we're gonna hammer this show out and go play some cards.
You know what I realized? And this was something. Should I do it here, or should I wait until the eventual return of Huff and Safe? You know, I promised I would tell people the secret to marriage.
That's right.
I promised people I would tell them the secret to marriage, and then I never did. But it kind of fits in here.
The secret to marriage, I'm going to give it away first if I can, Scott. Step on your toes a little bit. The secret to marriage is being named Vampin'. So that no one can Google you and get in trouble.
It's true. Vampin'. I think it's the reverse. Anything that Vampin' does comes up in like the first page.
Oh, right, because there's only one of them.
There's only one Vampin'.
Honey, that's another Joe Stapleton who works in poker.
There's a ton of Joe Stapletons. On IMDb, there's like 6 Joe Stapletons.
There's plenty of them, yeah.
This chick, Mary Scott Huff, has been dominating my face on Google lately. I really shouldn't have quit the poker
Scott
beat.
Huff?
Yeah, Mary, M-A-R-Y, Mary Scott Huff, has been annihilating me.
It's a
on
guy?
Google. No, it's Mary Scott Huff. That's her name. It's Mary Scott.
Right, it's a
Huff.
woman's name, so you're getting
Mary Scott.
by a woman.
And she's
Scott hyphen Huff.
No one's searching me anymore because poker beat's over and I'm doing nothing. Nobody searches guys who work 11-hour-a-day office jobs. So Mary Scott Huff I forget what she does. I'm gonna look it up real quick. You know, vamping for me for a second. Mary Scott Huff. Yes, she's a designer, hand knitter, and instructor, and she is more popular than me on Google now.
Wow, that really sucks, Scott, because I'm pretty popular on Google.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure you are now. You probably beat me in Google fight.
You know, it's like the first.
It's not like I've tried to look and see or anything.
You know what's the first thing? Someone Googled me the other day. The first thing that comes up is Seabox Twitter page.
That's brutal.
Isn't that horrible?
You don't ever want Seabox Twitter page.
That really upset me. By the way,
sandwiched in between Bob Marley lyrics and his album of the day is
oh my God. Big Head Todd and the Monsters. Like, wow, fantastic. That's what people think I listen to. Anyway, I was in the middle of an intro. It's our final table preview show. So in addition to reading the names and chip counts, we're going to do that again later. We're going to talk about Huff and Stapes are back together again in print form. Finally, we've regressed. Yes. Mm-hmm. We started off in print. We're back to print. We're going to chat a little bit of poker news here in the second segment. We're going to talk about Helmuth potentially commentating the WSOP. We've got an NAPT sort of in Los Angeles coming up in the next couple days. We're going to talk about what's going on there. Again, as I mentioned, we're going to mention all the ways that the LA Poker Classic is just so classic. We're going to be joined by special guest Daryl Fish is going to be here. He made the final table. He stopped by. Me and Jessica Wellman had a chance to talk to him.
That guy's really good, and he makes me really nervous. I might not talk at all during the interview. That guy makes me so nervous.
Yeah, I know. Scott's got a real issue with Daryl Fish, so Scott may
I'm just saying, he is amazing, and I get really flustered. It's the one player, for some reason, I get flustered. I can't ask him any questions.
I'll tell you what, Scott.
I can't imagine.
If you can,
please shoulder the burden with this interview.
Scott, if you can manage to come up with one question during the Daryl Fish interview, I'll give you $1,000.
Okay. You give you $1,000.
If you chime in even one time, if you can somehow surmount your fears and chime in one time during the Daryl Fish interview.
I need like a little Oscar reference here. I need like a Lionel Logue to come in and help me with some speech therapy when he's here, because I feel like I'm just going to stumble all over it. I don't know that I'll get through one question with Daryl Fish.
You don't even...
That's D Fish.
I understand.
D Fish.
You don't even have to get the full question out. Just start asking one.
Start asking one question, you'll give me $1,000.
Yeah.
$1,000.
During the Daryl Fish interview, yeah.
Done.
Okay.
Book it. Don't expect a lot, though.
Do not let him anywhere near those recordings, John B. One thing I wanted to bring up, there was an event that happened, it was the LA Poker Classic, tons and tons of events, and they had 53 events, I think, this year. An event 40-something was a chop, and it was won by two guys, one of them by the name of Tony Ma, of course, who we know from the poker scene. It was split by Tony Ma and Restituto Begege.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They chopped that one up for about $5,500 a piece.
He needs to chop up his last name.
Restituto Begege. Now, I'm not trying to say that anyone should find the name Begege hilarious. I'm just pointing out that it's not often that you see a multisyllabic, repetitive last name. Restituto Begege. Congratulations to you, my friend. I do have some bad news. I was progressively making big announcements throughout the course of the week, and I promised several big announcements, and the last one would culminate in a huge announcement, and I kind of hinted yesterday that the final announcement isn't going to happen. The announcement's been canceled. I announced yesterday, 2 days ago, I announced who the insider was.
Oh, did you?
I did. That it was an amalgamation of different inside facts, and it was you doing an impression of Barry.
Oh, you actually outed the entire thing for real?
The entire thing for real.
Wow.
I did. Barry was on the show. He gave
it to you, though, by the way.
To take credit for it?
Yeah. In the weirdest way, I built that show for 2 years and had people kind of on the ropes about that and lots of speculation. Then you just, in a text message, very nonchalantly say, hey, do you mind if I out the insider on the show? You're that strapped for...
I was really short on content, and I needed to take your 2 years of Poker Beat and ruin it in about a 10-second bit.
That's unbelievable. I mean, wow. And get credit for something cool.
Enjoy. Yeah, no, I got all the glory. No big deal. Do
they ever in volleyball, on a two-man volleyball team, in Beijing, is there one guy who always sets it up and then one guy who always spikes it? Or do you think they let the guy who sets it up from time to time spike it every once in a while?
I'm not sure I follow your metaphor.
I think you follow it just
I'm not sure. So what you're saying is that we live under a communist regime and that it's, that everyone shouldn't be just assigned one job?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay. Well, here in America, we kind of can pick and choose our profession. If I want to be the spiker.
So what was the next big announcement supposed to be? Or what did you tell people?
The second big announcement was I announced that I have accepted the job as a new color commentator on the NAPT, the North American, I think it's Poker Tour, pretty sure. Mm-hmm. North American Poker Tour. And
did you announce who the play-by-play person was going to be?
I did, but then I think we bleeped it because I would like to give him the chance to announce his own news.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This other person,
yes,
you would like to give him, this person that you probably don't know nearly as well as me, who's in college, you want to give them a chance to announce their own news.
Yes.
Whereas with me, nonchalant text message, you didn't bleep who the insider was, though, right? If I go back to the tape.
I didn't bleep who the insider was, but I may have bleeped your name when I was talking about who created the show.
That's super nice of you. Thanks.
Yeah. So anyway, the insider was Restituto Begege. If you weren't listening yesterday, Scott and I are gonna. We got some more people here. Want to know what happened earlier? What's up? They're all done. Been a couple hours. Final six are set. Daryl Fish, Carlos Mortensen. Who do you guys like? I'll tell you whether they're in or not. Yeah, Carlos is still in.
He is the chip boss.
Yeah, chip leader.
Chip leader.
Come back in 2 days. That's when the final table is. Oh, man.
that he can't be here.
Neither of you guys happens to be named Vampin, are you? Vampin? What are your names, can I ask? Your name's, your surname? No? You don't want to give me your name? All right, it's cool.
Okay.
We've got 2 super spies.
Moving on.
Have a good one, guys. Boy, what a show it's
They
been.
only want to play ball till they don't want to play ball anymore,
I don't know
huh?
what's going on.
And they just quit.
He goes, I know about identity theft. I did not give you my name. Yeah, so...
Dude, what the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on
We're
here?
canceling the big announcement today. No big announcement.
Can you hint what it was supposed to be?
It involved us.
Oh, it did. All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So
Yeah, can't
it's
make
just-
that announcement.
Just going to have to wait, unfortunately. And for good reason. Now, before you got here, Scott, I had already had a classic LA Poker Classic moment where I was trying to sign up for the low-limit games while I was waiting for you to get here.
Mm-hmm.
And I went up to the board, and I went through this thing in my head where I was like, once I kind of become known in poker, when I go put my name on the board, am I going to be a JS or am I going to be a Stapes?
You thought about this.
I thought about it.
Okay.
Because every once in a while you're at the World Series and you'll be like, JS, 4-8, Omaha, whatever, and then they'll go, Devilfish, and you're like, oh, okay, there's only one Devilfish. So I'm like, all right, maybe I'll give them Stapes.
Mm-hmm.
So I walk up to the low-limit board and I say, hey, can I sit down? And there was no list. And he goes, oh, yeah, you're the first on the list. What's your name? And I go, Stapes. And the guy goes, Steaks?
Of course you'd be Steaks. That's a poker room nickname that actually makes sense.
And I go, no, Stapes. And he goes, Stapes, what the hell is that? What is Stapes? And he starts giving me a hard time about it. So, of course, I immediately regret it. Then he writes out STA. And I'm like, PES. And he's like, what? PES. What, man? PES. Stapes. What the hell kind of name is Stapes? I'm like, dude, we've already been over this. And then he just started erasing it. And I was like,
that could very legitimately be a last name.
Right.
Why is it that it confounded him so?
Well, I think you either do initials or you do like Joe. There's no the Armenian Express. Put that down. Write the Armenian Express on the list.
It's funny. For a long time, I was going as Scott Huff, the guy you may know from various podcasts over the past 5 years, from Card Player, Poker Wire, and the Poker Road.
The guy who's buried
It was the longest name ever on the list, but I really wanted people to know.
The guy who's buried more radio shows than the internet in the first place. Speaking of which, why did Barry fire you off the Poker
I don't
Beat?
know why he fired me. He was like, it's done. He said, we're shutting it down. There's no integrity left to this show. Later. That was it.
We tried to get him on for a quote, but he refused to do it today,
Wouldn't
ladies
do
and
it.
germs.
He was in a big game downstairs. Johnny World was there. I feel like he just gets beamed in to certain big games. Johnny World. I feel like he's not around a lot, and then
He doesn't play a ton of tournaments.
No.
Yeah.
He just gets beamed into a cash game where he knows there's a soft spot.
Yeah, he, as you notice, he made eye contact with each of us, so he's gotten a lot friendlier the last couple of years.
He sure has.
For those of you who can't get enough of Huff and Stapes, I know that you guys are looking for our latest episode of Huff and Stapes, the podcast, to come out. Hasn't happened yet. Don't worry. We will tell you. There's a Huff and Stapes Oscar special on our website right now if you want to check it out.
Yep.
It is not available on iTunes. It had some technical snafus. We think it was worth putting up there for you guys anyway, so enjoy that. But if you can't get enough of us, Huff and Stapes, our new article, Color Up the News, premiered in Bluff Magazine last month. Each month, Huff and I will be tackling one particular topic and giving you our irreverent view on the poker world. And last month we tackled the PokerStars Caribbean Adventure. And this month, if you guys are looking for it, Scott and I are going to do our take on the all-time money winners list and how we feel about that.
Very excited. I've had a lot to say about that, and it's a lot. I feel like I hate to bemoan this, but as soon as the poker beat went away, all this crazy stuff started
Good
happening.
talking points.
Yeah. Travis McCarr just decides he has some treasure trove.
Just because he was afraid.
He's
He's like, as soon as the poker beat goes down, that's when I make my move.
Oh yeah, I'm sure talking to the donk down guys is a lot easier than talking to me. I'm sure
this is what
there's a lot more softball questions from those guys.
No offense, but I wonder, a lot of news breaks now on these real tiny podcasts. I mean, maybe they're not tiny. I don't know.
Those guys have been around longer than almost any podcast. I think Donk Down started before the circuit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
I think they've actually been around.
I retract that.
Their size, I have no idea what kind of listenership
that.
they have, but they've been around a long time, those guys. But still, I mean, I would just think if you're looking for the softball interview,
Old Stapes here is now.
You can serve up a nice one.
Oh my God, I pitch better softball than most lesbians. I mean, I am huge.
But no one ever gets on you about it.
No, of course not. Because I say, Scott, I'm an entertainer.
You're an entertainer. That's right. Yeah,
I'm an entertainer. Anyway, but next month, a joke that got left out of this one, Scott, that I didn't cram in there because I felt it was a little too self-referential, was that I wanted to say that Phil Ivey and Daniel Negreanu have been leapfrogging each other on the all-time money winners list like our careers.
That's funny.
Scott's on TV. Scott's not on TV. Stapes is on TV. Oh, wait, I'm still on TV.
You are still on TV, yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sorry about that. All right, kids, just a couple.
I'm on the back page of Left Magazine.
That's right. Okay.
With you. But I get top billing. Huff and Stapes. You realize you're never going to be able to really change that.
No, I know.
Is that
it's
a problem
done.
for you? It's done. What's done is done.
Unfortunately, I kind of realized that flowed better. Huff and Stapes just sounds better than Stapes and Huff.
I don't know that you had much of an option, actually.
No, I get it. I agreed to it. Luckily, I agreed to it. I agreed that was the best way to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was the only way to go, really, at the time.
It was probably the most pragmatic way, I thought, actually. It was for Huff and Stapes.
Probably.
Alphabetical order, whatever.
Yeah, or just it had to be that way.
If it had been Abernathy and Huff, that's probably the way it would have fallen down.
Probably not. If your last name was Abernathy, you probably still would have come second at the time.
Huff and Abernathy?
I don't know if we were doing it. If we were doing it again right now, maybe I'll grant you that. Maybe now Stapes and Huff would make more sense, but can't go back. There's no going back now. By the way, speaking of softballs, I don't want to put you on the spot or anything, but I heard there's a major controversy going down with the Crowne Plaza. I read this on Daniel Negreanu's blog. Daniel said there was corruption here. I wonder what that means, because when you say corruption and poker tournament and all this stuff rolled into one, what is the corruption at the Crowne Plaza? By the way, I've been reading Daniel's blog. I've read Daniel's blog since before I started working for Card Player. I love his blog.
I remember when we were thrilled when Daniel in his blog mentioned Sam's roommate, and we were like, Daniel's talking about Sam's roommate because he was on Survivor.
He mentioned Bobby John. Then I was super pumped when he mentioned I was in his blog for some reason. I hear Poker Beat came up, and I was like, super
and always
flattered
take the worst of it, I think.
Right. And so whatever. But he can find controversy, that guy. He can find it. He can sniff it out. And I want to know, what is there, like, not enough mints on the pillows here? What did the Crowne Plaza do that caused such a it was like a very visceral reaction from Dan. He's like, I am going to tell you about the controversy at the Crowne Plaza later. And then I never saw the follow-up.
Well, it was like 3 a.m., and what happened was a bunch of those guys that actually came from the big game. They had a private jet. It was Daniel, Joe Hashem, Brian Rast, Phil Locke, Jennifer Tilley, and who else was on that plane? Jason Mercier was on the plane, and I may be forgetting one person, and I apologize if I am. They had chartered a private jet to leave from the big game to get here in time to play day one of the main event here the next day. And when they got here, none of them had rooms, even though some of them had reservations. And their reservations had been canceled and given away to other people. And I believe what's happened in the past here, now I'm not saying that's what happened this time, is that when big-name players show up and there's no rooms available, they've canceled other people's reservations.
All right.
Or kicked people out of their rooms. I've even heard some rumors. Now, I can't say whether or not that's true. So I believe, and so Daniel and a couple of those guys and Joe Hashem, were running around town at 3 o'clock in the morning trying to find rooms, and they had to play the next day at noon. So everyone was a little heated. Everyone had a bunch of cocktails before they got on that plane. I know that much because they were drinking with us literally till 10 minutes before they had to be on the flight. So I think tensions were high. I don't know if Daniel's scathing blog has come out yet or not about the corruption here.
the corruption within the Crowne Plaza.
You fat cats at the Crowne Plaza in your smoke-filled rooms.
I was like, man, if there's corruption at this place, they are not using the corruption money or whatever is corrupt here. They need to reinvest whatever they're doing and make this place just slightly more impressive.
Yeah, I heard that unfortunately that the guy who was benefiting the most from the corruption is Restitutu Begege. So anyway, guys, I want to remind everyone to check out the Poker Road forums. Keep up with the show. Throw me some questions, suggestions, and, of course, you can find out about the Poker Road League that's going on at BroadwayTables.com. Don't forget to check out the Jess and BJ show, which you can find on the Poker Road homepage. I believe at WorldPokerTour.com. You can also find them. Yes, Scott, go ahead.
I assume that you've already beaten to death the Jess and BJ show, right?
Yeah, I give them a plug every day.
No. I mean, you've beaten to death what the name sounds like for SEO purposes, Jess and BJ show.
Jess and BJ show.
Yeah.
Jess and BJ show.
Just saying. It sounds a little Sounds slightly risque.
Oh,
That's all.
yeah, it does.
That's all
I
I'm
would
saying.
definitely subscribe to the Jess and BJ show.
I've already subscribed. They have quite a thread. They have an epic thread going on over at Poker Road also, which for Poker Road's forums is two pages, a page and a comment. Everyone's very pumped that we've got some new content.
I will say
that, as am I, actually.
The Poker Road forums may have less pages than all the other forums, but there are so much less I has a cheeseburger photos. So it's one thing to be grateful for.
Did you see the Charlie Sheen bunny photos with his quotes yet? 'Cause
No.
that's the one time I've actually liked the little, what do they call them? Memes? They call
I
them
don't even
little
know
things?
what they're called.
Yeah, I don't know, but whatever. Also, have you seen this thread where they put the ugliest human being in the history of the world and said it looks like me in a commercial for Denny's?
I saw the thread,
Over on
but
the forums?
I didn't read it.
I, mean, I don't know specifically the ugliest guy in the world.
No, he does look like he could be like your handicapped brother.
Yeah, not cool, guys.
Anyway, Poker Road forums, go there because we're going to be doing some shows from the NAPT next week. I would love to get your guys' input, or whatever they end up calling it. I'm going to get you guys' input on who you want me to talk to, what stories you want to hear people talk about. If we get Barry for a show, ask Barry some strategy questions. Get some good stories out of Barry. The guy loves to hear his own voice. So please help us out here on the Poker Road forums. Also, don't forget, you can email us prradio@pokerroad.com or leave us a voicemail at 877-836-ROAD. Don't forget, PRR is sponsored by ClubWPT.com. Never lose a dime. Online again, playing at ClubWPT.com. We've got to take a break right now, but when we get back, we're going to have lots more stuff. Back after this. Welcome back to Poker Road Radio, brought to you by Lock Poker, coming to you from the LAPC. It's a World Poker Tour event. Don't forget, you can check out the World Poker Tour Season 9, and FSN now has standard times. You can find it every Sunday at 8 and 11 p.m. Ratings are up. You got the raw deal. You've got the 4-color decks, which, by the way, Scott, I tried in the big game to suggest 13-color decks. They weren't having it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought if they're going to do 4, we should do 13. Whatever, and they're having coverage that begins on day 1, which gives it more of a tournament feel to it. Yeah,
love that.
We like that. Let's do a little poker news. We haven't used the bumper all week. Might as well use it now, huh?
Bringing you the biggest stories. Or, well, whatever we could find 10 minutes before the show. Poker news!
This just in from Daryl Fish's Facebook page, because I'm trying to formulate whatever question I have for him. So I made the 6-handed TV final table of the WPT LAPC main event. I have never put so much effort into something as I have this tournament, and it looks like it's paying off. Play resumes at 4 p.m. on Thursday. They have us going to the Clippers game to sit VIP. Life couldn't be much better right now, and thanks so much for the support from everyone. It means the world. Joe, $5 free roll, who the first comment is under Daryl Fish's announcement about him making the final table of the LAPC.
McLean Carr.
My cousin Sam.
Ha!
Great job, man. Take it down.
Should have guessed that.
Should have guessed it. 38 comments ready for D-Fish. See, this guy's a big star. I am a little nervous.
It's a $1,000 free roll, Scott, so take it or leave it. Ask him one question.
Still taking it.
All right, first item up for bids here on the news. This coming to us from PokerNews.com from the Nightly Turbo. You can check out this news at PokerNews.com. It's called The Big Event, formerly known as NAPT LA. In case you aren't up to speed, those of you who thought you'd be attending the North American Poker Tour LA beginning this weekend, the event has been changed. The event will go on as planned, but will not be an NAPT event. The decision to rebrand the event was made by the NAPT and the Bicycle Casino after discussions with California gaming regulators. The Big Event, as it's now being called, it will still run from March 5th to 12th, and the main event and side events will go on as planned. The main event will not be filmed for ESPN, but will be streamed on webcast live via Live at the Bike, The Bounty Shootout will be filmed for ESPN. Online qualifiers will be able to defer their buy-in, but full package winners will not be able to defer their hotel portions of the package. According to Jeffrey Haas, the PokerStars team will still be present at the event to provide support for their players, and all activities that were planned will still go on as scheduled. Now, Scott, I'm not sure what the actual reason for this is, but I've heard about this coming down the pipeline several different times. The NAPT is on, it's off, it's on, it's off. I think there's a problem with the sponsorship, the .net sort of branding of television shows here in the U.S., I believe, is the issue.
Well, you're going to be doing the bounty shootout then, right? For
yes.
this or no?
Once they tape it, I believe that I will be doing.
You will still be doing the bounty
yes.
shootout. I mean, that's really the big innovation here anyway. I mean, they're doing a tournament series. I predicted from the beginning of hearing about and I guess somewhat wrongly predicted from the beginning of hearing about the NAPT that if it could get the traction that it needed, especially when they started off with that Snoop Dogg concert and all this other stuff, that it was going to be the big thing that was going to destroy all others in the tournament world because of these. But because of these little hang-ups they're having, which I guess presumably, and we're both kind of speculating here, have to do with the legality of online poker in the United States. It hasn't quite been that, but the real innovation there is the big bounty shootout that airs. That's pretty cool. I mean, I watched the live coverage that you were a part of the first time, right?
I think you
did some commentary.
The first bounty shootout, I did live commentary. Yeah, that's where I cut my teeth in the live commentary world.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I think that's a pretty big innovation to have that on TV as a quote-unquote side event that could possibly win you more money than the main event of some of these tournaments. So it's cool that they're still going to get something out of it. It's just a little odd, the big event.
Yeah, can't we all just get along? Can we just work this out? Can we all make it so that Huff and Staves have careers for the rest of their lives, and it's always like, why is it that?
Can't we just make it so that everything works out for us in the end?
Can we please?
Please, Republicans, please make it so that we can have a career for the rest of our lives.
No, I think it's more I don't know if it's the land-based casinos, Scott. I think they're the ones against us.
All right, don't talk too loud. There's a lot of corruption here at the Commerce Casino.
We might give our hotel rooms away.
They don't want to get off.
I go home and the Commerce is like, sorry, sir, we booked out your hotel room. Phil Ivey needed a place with a view of the Hollywood sign. All right, next news story here. This is from the Nightly Turbo a few nights ago. Hellmuth as a commentator on ESPN? Question mark? Matt Savage caught up with Phil Hellmuth at the World Poker Tour LA Poker Classic and a thread on 2+2. Savage says he overheard Hellmuth talking about being a commentator on ESPN. Now, we're not sure how this would work, but according to a post from Savage, he believes that they would use a 3-person booth in the coverage. If you want to see Hellmuth being coy and hear more about who he might be signing with, check out the video interview. And you can check that out on, I believe, Poker News, of course, has it, and I think LAPC as well as YouTube. If you can search Phil Hellmuth Talks with Matt Savage at the LAPC, you can see it for yourself. Phil also dropped this the other night when we were out drinking, said that he got the World Series of Poker gig, which I think he may have overstated a little bit. I do think that we will probably see Phil on some WSOP broadcasts, but we're very likely to see a few other pros in there as well.
Okay.
It's going to make things a little interesting this year. As you know, Scott, different production company doing the World Series of Poker this year.
Yeah.
So we're likely to see a lot different coverage, including, I heard it's going to be Lon and Norm, and then probably a rotating lineup of professional poker players. And I will say this, love him or hate him, the response to Phil announcing this on 2+2 was not good.
No, not positive?
Not positive.
I have not seen that.
Unfortunately for Phil, as entertaining a guy as he is to watch play poker, a lot of people feel as if when he is watching others play poker, he still is only focused on himself and what he
You think
would
that's
do.
the problem, or you think he doesn't have the respect of the poker community that now are the ones posting on 2+2 and these other forums and are really watching and consuming poker
That's
content? Because
certainly
it seems to me, I've watched enough episodes of The Big Game to know that the man, deservedly or not, gets zero respect anymore, especially from young players. They do not think that he is good.
Yeah.
Period. They don't. Those NAPT live broadcasts we were just talking about, people annihilate the guy. So if he's supposed to be adding poker knowledge, and I really like Lon and I really like Norm as people, and I think they've done a tremendous job hosting the World Series of Poker for as long as they have. But there is a certain still lack of poker knowledge there overall, I think, compared to where the audience is now.
Right.
Phil Hellmuth, I don't think people believe is going to add that much more poker knowledge, whether deservedly or not.
Totally.
He certainly knows a hell of a lot more about it than I do, but I don't think he has the respect.
I think that you're right about that, and I think that, but here's the real question, Scott, are the voices of those few people who will be horribly irritated by hearing him and what they believe to be bad poker analysis coming out of his mouth, is that worth the possibly millions of people who don't give a fuck and want to hear Phil Hellmuth and see him on TV and hear him react to things?
No, I think it's probably the right move TV-wise. I mean, it's odd. It's assuming I guess any final table he makes, he won't be commentating. He's not going to be precluded from playing in any specific events, I won't imagine. But no, I think that you're right. I think that most people probably that are the average fan out there want to hear what Phil Hellmuth has to say. And here's the truth. I've worked with Phil. You've worked with Phil, doing some commentary and also just having him on set of Poker Tonight. You've seen what the man is capable of doing as a performer if he's focused on just being a performer. He could be brilliant at this. It is possible that if he does focus a little bit less on Phil and a little bit more on the game and picking apart other people's game or personalities or whatever, he has the potential, I actually think, to be pretty brilliant at this. But I'll reserve judgment until I see it. But he has a chance. He has a fighting chance to be really, really good.
I would agree, Scott. I would agree that, maybe with some preparation and if they sort of tell him...
That's not happening.
Well, if someone else...
no poker player prepares for anything.
What I meant is if someone else prepares for him.
There you go. Yeah.
That it's possible that, he may come out looking pretty good in this ordeal. And I'm a huge fan, obviously, of Phil Hellmuth. He's my all-time favorite player. PH for life. Well, kids, we got... speaking of which, Scott, speaking of live coverage... So did you get my email about the Sunday Million?
I got your email, yeah.
This Sunday, the Sunday Million, guys, is a $5 million guarantee. They're guaranteeing $1 million for first place. It's the 5-year anniversary of the Sunday Million, which is why they're doing this. And I thought it'd be really fun for Scott and a couple other friends of mine to come over to my place, and we can all sweat each other, swap pieces. That sounds really, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of dudes sweating each other, swapping pieces.
There's nothing about men that I like.
There will be some... I'll get a piece of Scott, and he'll get a piece of me.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it'd be fun to
I actually wasn't thinking of it that way. Swapping pieces could be taken another way. Like, we could be handing some ladies around.
Oh, yeah, some
swapping
dime
pieces.
pieces.
It didn't have to be...
We could be swapping some dime pieces.
You guys took it there, yeah.
You bring a dime piece, I'll bring a dime piece, we'll swap pieces.
If I knew a dime piece other than my wife, I'd bring a dime piece. But I don't think I know one dime piece. Oh, really?
So,
were you? That's weird, huh?
Not cool?
That's weird.
Anyway.
I don't know if we could work together again after that.
Or we could never not work together again. Huh?
How about that?
Anyway, I thought that would be really fun, but in addition to being fun, I thought maybe we could set up a couple of cameras and maybe people want to watch us. Maybe people want to watch the gang hang out, sweating.
As strange as it is, people have done it before.
Right.
They watched us play a bunch of $3 tournaments one night in my apartment, and we opened up the present from the 6 Wilbury. Remember?
How fun it would be.
We taped out of his new gift for me.
We taped some cameras in my apartment. We stick them on the walls everywhere. We have someone just switching back and forth.
You want someone to be there to live switch?
I want someone to direct it. I want there to be a live switcher.
What time does this thing start?
I don't know. I'm not
I don't
sure.
think I can commit to it. I have to go to someone's birthday party. They're having a birthday party at 10 o'clock in the morning.
You know who else is having a birthday party, Scott? The fucking PokerStars Sunday Million is having a birthday party.
That's right. It's their 5th birthday, right?
Be like, I'm sorry, I got someone else's birthday party.
I have someone's 5th birthday, so I can't be there.
And they're giving away $1 million. So, I don't know. You have a birthday party at 10 a.m.
I know.
I'm coming out of PokerStars Sunday Million retirement to play this. I played it once.
Why were you retired?
I played it once. I min cashed. I was like, I'm retiring on top, motherfuckers. I'm out. I'm out while
it's
I'm hot.
It's really easy to min cash in almost all of those tournaments on PokerStars. I am the go check my Shark Scope or whatever you kids out there do to try to make it seem like I'm a terrible player. Check out how many min cashes I have in tournaments on PokerStars. I can eke into the money with the best of them. I mean, I must have the best cash percentage in history on PokerStars. I cash in every tournament I play. I cash in 100% of tournaments.
Wow, then I
grab that shit as a sound drop. I cash in 100% of tournaments. That is what I do.
I didn't tell this story on there. When we were on the set of the big game, I was actually sort of bored one day, so I started playing a bunch of tournaments, and I bust out of the first 40 of them. So I'm stuck for $150. And I get into the $5.50 rebuy. 4,012 people enter the tournament, and we're down to we cashed without even me noticing. And I'm down to the last 100 players when, lo and behold, what happens? Big game wraps for the night. So I'm sitting in the green room, just in the dark. Everyone's gone, I'm having fun, having cocktails. I end up finishing in 55th place for $106.
That's what happens.
55th out of 4,000 gets you $106.
You just made so many people who listen to this show jealous, though. You know that? Because all these guys who listen to this show, if they gamble at work, they get fired. Probably many of them have. And you get to talk about it. This has happened so many times. Do you remember? Can I out him for this? Can I say? Has anyone ever told the Jeremiah story from 2005?
No, I don't think so.
Has anyone ever told that story?
I have no idea.
He was a card player intern. Your host of Cash Plays, everybody. This is how you get ahead in poker. Your host of Cash Plays at the 2005 World Series of Poker. Or was it 2006? It was 2006. We already had a year under our belt.
05, yeah.
We had a year under our belt. and Jeremiah is an intern for Card Player, and the kid, as the main event begins, this is when everyone's getting their call. We're calling all the soldiers there. Everyone's got to do their chip counting. Everybody's got to do their part. Everyone's going to be working 20-hour days. It's going to be round the clock. Jeremiah is nowhere to be found because he's at like table 32. He just bought his way into the main event and fucking played, and then ended up with jobs in poker afterward. Now, I hate to always have the disclaimer.
He was on TV though, right? I mean, he got mad TV coverage that year, right?
No.
Oh, that was the next year.
That was the next year. It's not that he's not a good player. It probably should have done that. But it was like Card Player or PokerWire. Somebody like immediately, you're hired. You disappear the one time we need you, and you are hired.
That's awesome.
It was. It clearly was. It is the one place where you can drink and gamble on the job and get promoted.
I've actually been getting in trouble lately walking around with a beer with my press pass on. I've been told that's not cool anymore. So,
man, things are really fun. I don't want to go down this road. This could be a 3-hour show. Things have fallen off.
Oh, my God.
Where is 2005, 2006? What the hell? A beer and a press pass? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Pour tequila in the beer. Tell people you did it. Brandish your press pass like that. That's what it should be.
Stick some ganj in the laminate of the press pass.
Yes.
So people know exactly what's going on.
Use the press pass to cut up lines of Adderall. It has a sharp edge. Whatever you do is okay.
Scott and I are going to go take some Adderall, but for now, Daryl Fish is waiting in the wings. Scott, the free roll remains. Ask Daryl Fish one question. I will give you 1,000 American dollars. Will he or won't he do it? Interview with Daryl Fish coming up right after this.
I love you, Jeremiah Smith.
Welcome back to PokerRoad Radio, brought to you by Lock Poker, coming to you from the World Poker Tour's LAPC. That's the Los Angeles Poker Classic. It's such a classic event. It is a World Poker Tour event, and the World Poker Tour can now be seen on Sunday nights at 8 and 11 p.m. We're very lucky right now. We grabbed him. He was a tough get for me. He made the final table here at the LAPC. He'll be playing in that tomorrow.
No.
Thursday.
2 days
Wrong.
from now. Excuse
Fail.
me. Sorry, thank you.
Huge fail. It's
Look,
okay.
Whatever. No wonder he said yes to the interview. He's got
he's got like 6.5 days.
He's got a whole day before. Anyway, Daryl Fish, thanks a lot for being here, my man.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
Congratulations on making the final table.
Thank you very much. I feel like it's due, but it's still like awesome. Of course, this is what it's all about. So.
Yeah. So this is your first final table, second, third. Where are we at for you? I know it's not a ton.
No,
TV
it's actually
tables.
the opposite of a ton. It's 0. I final tabled a World Series event in 2009, and it was a 10K, but it was the first year that they weren't televised. Obviously.
Bad beat.
Let me see if I remember. The 10K pot limit hold'em.
Yes. Very prestigious event.
The toughest final. I'm not saying this to suck up. I thought it was the toughest final table of the entire World Series.
It was really sick final
let's
table.
talk about that final table real quick. Who was at the final table?
It was insane.
It was like J.C. Alvarado, Isaac Haxton, Eric Baldwin.
Jesus, wow.
Davide Katai, right?
Yeah.
He's very good. Who else? Who's that other
the Russian
European?
who won.
Kirill Gerasimov, right?
Yeah.
Is that him?
Oh,
yeah.
Kirill, that's the guy whose name I was trying to think of.
No, did the Russian win? Who won?
Jean Cabaj won.
That's right. The one
English,
guy that I was like, who?
Englishman, yeah. Anyway, so that's the best I've done, and nothing in WPTs. Only like maybe 2 cashes out of like 15 or 20 events. So.
And but you've had a couple deep runs before, right? And finishes in the teens or the 20s.
In WPTs?
Yeah,
I had one. Yeah, I finished 19th at Legends earlier last year or whatever, and no, other than that, I've had like a lot of stacks in WPTs, but never really closed anything. So hopefully this one will make up for it.
I mean, this is as close to closing as you've gotten so far.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
That's obviously the first couple steps have been taken. I would say that this is a fairly tough final table as well.
It's an all-pro final table.
I would
right?
say it's an unfairly tough final table.
Yeah, right.
It's
Imagine
really
that.
ridiculous. I mean, this field was stacked. I mean, there's a lot of players, but at the same time, there's a lot of good players these days. And when we got in the money, I looked around and I was like, wow, we're in LA. There's like very few fish in this field. It's kind of weird, there's a lot of regulars, like randoms that come out and play this event. But it was a really stacked field, and now this final table is just like unreal tough, and it might be one of the toughest of all time.
Yeah,
sure.
and I mean, it seems like Carlos Mortensen is just kind of an unstoppable rebel force in these tournaments. I mean, what chance does anyone have?
Well, now he and Vivek both are basically tied for the chip lead after Vivek busted Bakes on the last hand of the day.
I didn't even realize that.
It's a 50,000 chip difference, which is a single big blind. But
That's
yeah,
pretty sick.
Carlos he came in 8th in this event last year.
That's what I mean. I mean, he's just
he's a beast, man.
He wills it.
He does. I don't know how he does it. Well, he beats kings and aces with queens. That's one way to do it.
But we were talking about it over at the table, at the press table, and I was like, did anyone have a doubt in their mind for 1 second about two things? That one, aces were never, ever holding in this spot, and that two, Carlos was about 70% to win the hand.
Well, when he flopped the 3 spades, it felt like he just flopped the flush already.
I know, I was like,
it was
okay.
there, you know?
And that's what it ended up being. Was
he made a flush to
spades,
crack kings and aces with queens.
That was sick.
Now, not only is this a sort of a tough final table and the tough couple final tables, but I don't know if you're friends with them or they're just peers of yours, but it seems like there are a lot of people, especially down to the last 8, that you are kind of buddies with, right? Like Bakes and you and Vivek. I think you and Vivek are maybe a little bit closer. Explain to me the dynamic.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, these tournaments, because, you travel. I've been playing like the circuit now for maybe a year and a half, and you see the same people and you become friends with whoever, and like, I don't know, it feels like eventually you run into a lot of people and this final table it feels like everyone knows everyone. It's almost like a home game. Like, I mean, Carlos, doesn't play online, obviously, really, and he's not like friends with us, but we've all played with him. And then the rest of us,
who dislikes Carlos?
No, he's the greatest.
And
yeah.
it's like just like in a baby.
But he's probably the one
Pegasus
you know the least about, whereas
Definitely,
everyone else at the table.
Vivek is a really good friend of mine. We talk about poker all the time. Biggs is a great friend of mine too. Obviously, he bubbled, unfortunately. But who else?
Kroll.
Kroll busted. That sucked. He's a great friend of mine too. We talk about poker and hang out all the time. And it brings an interesting dynamic to the table because there's so many levels going on because you know so much about each other's games, and then you kind of just try to. I don't know. It's really, really weird when it comes down to it.
I mean, is it one of those situations where just so many levels that sometimes it's just like you flip a coin, or?
Well, I try to go with more like a cautious approach and just take the err on the side of caution if there's a spot that comes up, and it's kind of close. Just because most of my friends I think are very good players, so I want to avoid playing huge pots against them in general.
You have more than one reason to avoid playing huge pots on them.
Exactly. So I don't know.
Jessica, go ahead.
Point of order. Daryl says, I try to avoid playing huge pots with people. I counted no less than like 20 Vivek versus D-Fish.
Yeah, I want to ask
head for head, massive 3-betting and post-flop.
We battled a little bit.
I was just like, good Lord. There was one, because we do the chunks of hands in the updates when we do hand
I have the Fish and Raj Kumar show.
Yeah, there's like 4 hands in a row where it's just you two playing each other.
It's a weird dynamic just because I probably talked to Vivek about poker more than anyone else, and so we just, I don't know, you feel like you know what's in someone's head, so you can take advantage of that a little bit when you don't know the rest of the table as much, And Vivek he had a lot of chips today, and he plays very loose when he has a lot of chips, and you can't just let him run over the table. Someone has to, do something about it, or he's just going to win the tournament, when it's not even over yet. So.
And you were seated to his left.
No, I was to his right.
Oh, you were to his right.
When they redrew for the final 10.
the final redraw 9 or whatever, I was on his left, and before that I was on his right. And most of the hands we played together, I was actually on his right, but there was a few hands where he raised small, and I defended the big blind with suited connectors or whatever, and I ended up getting the best of him in those hands. And I 3-bet a couple times from the big blind. You just have to adjust to the way people are playing.
So it's all fair game for you guys. If you have something that he does, you guys are sweep the legs, Johnny.
Yeah, on one hand, you don't want to bust your friend out of a tournament like this. You can feel for them, but on the other hand, it's it feels more competitive when it's against your friends. In cash games, for instance, I'd rather win 1,000 from a friend than a few hundred from a stranger. Some of the pain you bring to your friendship is so great, So I don't know. It's all warfare out there, But on break, it's all good. Everybody's friends on break. But then back
we're back to friends.
Friendship over. Speaking of friends, I saw McLean Carr was sweating you pretty hard coming down here. Is he another one of your?
Yeah, well, he was a little late, but
I was going to say he showed up for one hand and then left.
I don't know about sweated pretty hard. He sweated for a minute. Yeah, he showed up.
I'm sorry. It was not the length of the sweat I was commenting on. It was the intensity of the sweat once things were over. Yes,
exactly. Yeah, he. I guess he didn't realize we were this far into the tournament or something. I don't know what. He busted out early, and I guess he's just been not paying attention.
He's been in L.A.
Yeah, he's been hanging out in Beverly Hills and whatnot. Being a cool guy.
Oscar parties.
Yeah, the usual. So red carpet.
He has a very rock star sort of movie star quality to him.
Definitely does. He's a little rough.
Little charmer too.
Yeah, charming and rough. And I don't know, but he'll be here Thursday for sure.
Fantastic. Now let's talk about some of the hands leading up to today.
Uh-huh.
Obviously you've played 4 full days of poker. Were there
more
any,
than full?
Yeah. Were there any spots where you were left confused, where maybe we could talk it out a little bit, or maybe a spot where you made a really good play you could share with us?
That's a good question. This tournament is so long and grueling. You kind of like everything blurs together a little bit.
Like, what were some of the first hands that like you would whoever it is you talk to and play is over for the day? I know every poker player when they sit down for an interview, you ask them a question like that, and I do the same thing. I draw a blank,
hard,
right?
Yeah.
Someone's like, "What's your favorite joke you told in the big game?" I'm like,
right.
But like if Huff walked in the room, I'd be like, "Huff, you got to hear these 7 jokes I told in the big game today." So if you could think back a little bit, right when you talk to one of your friends, whoever your confidant is that you immediately talk to, what are some of the hands you talked about?
I'm trying to think. To be honest with you, it's weird because this tournament, everything went kind of smooth. I chipped up early on day 1, even though at this point, day 1, I can't remember any hands from day 1, really.
Chipped up without a lot of showdowns?
Without a lot of showdowns, yeah. Just kind of setting up good spots, like 3-betting people and, kind of building pots that I knew I could take away, stuff like that. Kind of basic stuff, and things were just going well. And then day 2, and I ended day 1 with like 60-something, I think, which was pretty good. And then day 2 went well. I ended with like 100. And then day 3, I came back and started at a rough table with Alan Cunningham and Nam Lee. Both had huge stacks.
I remember that day.
Yeah, very tough table. And a bunch of other players I had history with. And I dipped down. I played maybe too many hands at that table because it was a little tough. But I dipped down to like 60. And then I got moved. And I got moved to a table where Jennifer Tilly had a huge stack on my right and Bakes had a huge stack on my left. So that was kind of weird. And I was sitting there with like 60. And they both have like 300, 400.
Explain to me this dynamic a little bit, and I don't know if this is even true. When you sat down next to Jennifer Tilly to her left with a big chip stack, did you think this is something that I can capitalize on?
Yeah, I'll be honest. Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
Second part to the question. Is it tough being in that spot having Bakes directly to the left of you because he knows that you can pick on her, so is it tough to give him credit?
It's funny because it almost makes it not worth it just to have the chips on my right because
they're only going to be there in front of you for 1 second before Bakes tries to take it from you.
Right, exactly. Yeah, on one hand that's true, but at the other time, Bakes and I have played a lot together live, and really we kind of stay out of each other's way. It seems like for the most part because we respect each other's game a lot. Mm-hmm. So I kind of expected him to let me, and I was so sure that it wasn't going to get into like these huge, complicated 3-4 betting wars. It would be me shoving on her, and then maybe eventually getting a spot where I could double up or whatever, and which is what happened. First I went to that table, had 60 or whatever, and then I ended up getting queens, and it was like a raise in the cutoff. The button called, and I squeezed from the big blind. And the button like stubbornly called, and he was like, a casual LA player.
So he was wearing a Commerce hat and jacket,
right? The usual, and
eating fried rice.
So he called, and the flop came like Jack 6-6 with 2 spades, and we had like I guess about 40,000 behind or so. And I thought about my options, like how to make sure I can get action from like when he doesn't have anything, try to induce a bluff or check to induce a bluff, whatever. And I ended up just betting like 7,000, which I think worked out really well. I mean, he might have shoved anyway. He had a low flush draw, like the 7-8 of spades, and he shoved. And like, I don't know if I had bet bigger, he might have just called and then folded on the turn or something. So I was able to get max value that way. And then as soon as I doubled up after that, maybe like the next orbit, I woke up with aces when Under the Gun had raised. Jennifer Tilly flat called, and I expected her to give me a lot of action when I 3-bet because she likes to play hands. And so I squeezed big. It was like 5,100 call, and I made it like 22K, which is not huge, but a little bigger. And she called, and it came 6, 7, 9 with 2 hearts. And
so when that comes down like that, you love it or hate it?
It's kind of a love and hate thing actually, because you like it because obviously like there's no ace and like. There's no king or queen, and like you're not going to scare away jacks. A hand like that, she's still going to give you action. But at the same time, it's like she plays those hands. A lot of people like to play those hands that connect hard with that flop.
Yeah.
So I could be drawing dead with my 2 aces. So it's kind of scary. But then she bet out on the flop, which when she bet out, I felt like I could eliminate all the huge hands because she would probably check to
let
me take the lead.
Right.
With if she flopped a straight or something, she's not just going to bet into me and try to scare me. So at that point, I figured she had a hand like jacks or queens, or maybe a draw of some sort, or like a pair on the board, whatever. So I decided to just move all in because I thought she would call with a lot of the hands I just had crushed, and if it was like 140,000 more, and she called with the king queen of hearts, and I managed to hold up. So, and then from there, I pretty much cruised the whole tournament, just like I don't know, slow progress the whole way, 3 and 4 betting, taking pots without showdowns, and I don't know, been a crazy ride for sure.
Today especially, you chipped up a lot without a ton of showdowns.
I did, yeah.
I mean, Kathy's elimination aside.
Yeah, Kathy's was pretty standard, obviously, and I feel like just these days, especially in this field, I mean, this is very likely a 1K online. It's a very similar field to that. So, like, you have to do a lot of pre-flop maneuvering to build your stack. You can't just wait to get paid off because people aren't waiting to pay you off when they're all, like, good players. They're going to avoid, that stuff. So, yeah, you definitely have to take advantage of, certain pre-flop stuff, and I guess I did that, correctly, so.
Here's my question, because I thought I was losing my mind, and I'm going to ask someone in the field.
Okay.
Was this the tankiest group of people you've ever encountered?
That's funny you asked that. It probably is. And I don't think it's because everyone's...
I have a follow-up question for that, too.
Go ahead.
I realize that there have probably been hundreds of fish jokes made about your name. I mean, thousands, if not. Has anyone
thousands.
Made a fish tanking joke yet?
No, you know what? I've actually never heard that.
Jessica, I'm going to give you the assist on that one.
I will take it.
Because I was sitting here racking my brain. I was like, you got to ask him just how annoying it is to have the last name Fish, which I'm sure no one's mean to you about it.
No.
Now, I'm sure in elementary school someone tried to make something stupid out of it.
Yeah.
We all have been there. But, yeah, I mean, it just must be like, yeah, my name's Fish. Got it. Thanks, dude. I'm at the final table, by the way.
That's funny. Yeah, I can't believe I've never heard that one, actually. It's funny you mentioned that because Andy Frankenberger...
Andy Tankenberger?
I started calling him Tankenberger because he literally takes like 4 minutes a hand, even if he's got like 7-4 offsuit and he knows he's folding. It's so sick.
There were so many.
Ted Lawson's kind of like that, too, and he was deep in this tournament, which... Ted Lawson, I know, is thinking a lot less than most of these guys probably, so like he takes too long. Like he tanked with 9s yesterday for like 15 minutes in a spot where it was really easy.
It's fold. A lot of.
But now the guys that are left, I mean, these guys are all very, very high level players. They think on a lot of levels. You have to give them time to like dissect a hand. And So yeah, it's been grueling, but we're ahead of schedule. We definitely lost more players.
Tomorrow, your final table is going to be long.
Yeah, because it's very deep stacked. It's going to be a deep structure. The structure is great anyways, but because we lost so many players so quickly, the structure is just going to be awesome. You're going to see some great poker.
Now, I know that you are a sneaker person.
I am a sneaker.
Do we have a WPT pair of sneakers that you have set aside waiting for this day?
No, I don't, but I might have to go buy some. I mean...
I feel like you're the type that you're going to find like something cool to wear.
I probably will. I mean, I have a little faith in my sense of fashion and style. I kind of, like to...
Daryl, you spent some time in LA. Do you know where you would go to pick out these sneakers? Would you hit Melrose, Venice?
Beverly Center, maybe. I usually go there, actually, a lot of the time. Or the Grove. That's another shopping place.
So the Celebrity Petting Zoo.
You're not doing... So you don't do funky... You're not looking for funky, unique, quirky, hipster shoes?
Not super hipster. I like Nikes a lot, and then I like some designer stuff here and there when I see it. Like I got some silver Gucci's that are like ridiculous, but they just look cool, so I was like, whatever. But yeah, mostly Nikes actually.
Are you a superstitious guy? Do you have superstitions?
No, it's funny you asked that because they asked that on the little sheet. But no, not at all actually. I don't believe in any of that stuff. Although I was having like some dreams about this tournament like a month or two ago.
Yeah.
I haven't really been playing a ton of tournaments. I play mostly cash games in Florida now, and I've been having like I had some weird visions like while I was sleeping about this tournament specifically, and then, like, I mean, look where I'm at. It's just kind of weird, But, I mean, hopefully you have those visions about every tournament, and eventually you get there. But the fact that I was thinking about it before and just, like... And then I put everything I had into this tournament. I mean, I've just been staying super focused, and I don't know. It's paying off, so...
Cash games in Florida, is that, like, Mecca? Cash games in Florida?
No, it's not Mecca in the
Wait,
sense
are you like a carpetbagger that you just, like, all of a sudden cash games open up in Florida and you're, like, there playing
No,
them?
he's from Florida.
Okay, you're from Florida.
Yeah, I already lived there before the limits changed recently, and then I just moved into a different place, like, maybe 5 months ago. And, yeah, I've been mostly playing the live games down there. And there's a lot of games. There's, like, if you want to play 1-2 or 2-5 or 5-10 no limit, you're going to find a game, like, anywhere. But... the thing is, the bigger games don't run as often. There's not as much like 25-50 or bigger. So, and a lot of casual players like it because a lot of the low stakes games. But as far as the high stakes action, it's not like huge. But there's some games you get 10-20 and stuff. It's fun.
And wait, so you're from Florida, and where do you live there still currently?
Yeah,
obviously,
I live in Hollandale Beach. Yeah.
Why did I see you in L.A. at that time? You were just out visiting.
Yeah, well, I'm very good friends with Adam Ruthless Levy and Amac McKeeja, and they lived together out here for a while. So I would come out and stay with them a lot and hang out. I just like this city. I've always had fun when I come out here. There's great places to eat. It's a cool place. It'd be great to win $1.6 million here, that's for sure.
Or anywhere. I think you would take $1.6 million in Sheboygan.
In Cuba or something. Yeah.
I can tell you, though, that Los Angeles is a city where I think it's similar to Vegas, but if Daryl won $1.6 million, he would have a lot of friends. All of a sudden. Not to say he doesn't have a lot now, but there would be no shortage of people.
I think the rail's going to be pretty fun for this.
This rail is going to be unbelievable. The one at the Bellagio, the last Bellagio.
Oh, yeah, the Randall rail.
Benvo and Randall. That was huge. I think this one might be bigger. Because I have a lot of friends out here that live here and a lot of friends here that are here anyway. And I don't know how many people are going to end up in there, but, I mean, it's going to be rowdy for sure.
Well, even today the rail was funny because there were so many people that...
Greg had some guys rooting for him.
And there were so many people that knew multiple people and had multiple sweats. So you had, like, Benvo and Ryan Welch that would be, like... They would be going back and forth for you and then for Kroll and then Kroll bus and then they go and they console Kroll and then they come back. And then so it's like everybody had, like, multiple avenues to...
It's kind of weird, actually, when you come to a point where two of your good friends are playing a hand against each other. You're like, who do I root for? I don't want to feel bad, you know?
Yeah.
Let's talk about table draw tomorrow before we cut you loose. What is your dream table draw tomorrow, if you could pick it anyway? Is it already set?
Again, it's Thursday.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
And we have
thank you so much.
And just want to make sure you're here.
Hey, here's a new one for you then. Guess what? Daryl Fish schooling me. Can I get some love
in the
over
fish
there?
tank?
Can I get some love? Come on.
Oh, man.
Jesus, John. So late. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, it's the same seats
2 days.
as...
Oh, there's no redraw or anything?
No.
Which is
Which is good for you.
It's good and bad. I mean, Greg's very good. There's no good seat at this table. Like, everybody's so good. You're going to have someone on your left who's going to mess with you, and you're going to have someone on your right who's very good also. It's just... I mean, but the fact that I have position on Vivek and I know him better than any of the other players is definitely a huge benefit. But then Greg on my left is going to be very tough. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, you know. Hopefully run good.
Daryl, any minimum goals? Everyone wants to win. Is there a goal in your mind where you're like, I'll be okay with this? I'll be... consolation prize.
To be honest with you, I've been loving life lately, and I'm already okay with this. I mean, I'm not saying I'm at all going to give up. Of course, I'm going to give everything I have.
This will be Daryl tomorrow when he busts in third.
Thursday.
Fuck, these tournaments are so stupid. Yeah, no.
Whatever. People, you know what? It's a podcast, so if someone's listening to it on Thursday, it's tomorrow for them.
But
sorry.
Yeah, good point actually. Third would actually probably be okay. Third's what, like 700, 6 something.
Jessica.
Sure.
All right.
Oh, but anyway, getting heads up would be great. Winning, I mean, it's all about the win. This is amazing, huge tournament that's just life changing, and this is what I mean. We've all worked very hard to get to these points in our poker careers, and I mean, this is what it's all about. It's a big show, you know.
All right, man. Well, I'm really happy to see you there. Going to be even happier to see you on TV, no matter what place you finish in. Daryl Fish, thanks a lot for sticking around and for talking to us. PokerRoad Radio, going to take a break. When we get back, we're going to have lots more stuff. Back with Scotty Huff right after this. Welcome back to PokerRoad Radio, brought to you by Lock Poker, coming to you from the World Poker Tour's Los Angeles Poker Classic. There's a lot of classic things happening here. Before we get into just how classic the Commerce Casino is, one email I wanted to read, Scott. This is from You Can't Fool Me on the forums, who says, Stapes, Poker Maven VT, check raise bluff, shove the river. Pretty sure I got that the way he intended it. Thank you very much. You Can't Fool Me. Now, I got into this in the Bahamas a little bit, Scott. The Bahamas is called the PokerStars Caribbean Adventure. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, what's an adventure about it? A couple of stops ago, where was I really hammering home that it was a classic? I was like, why is this a classic? It's the classic. It's the Doyle Bunsen, the Doyle Brunson, right. The Bunsen and Beaker, the Doyle Brunson 5-Diamond Poker Classic. I was like, why is this a classic? But Scott and I have realized that this really is classic. This is really a classic event that we're at.
Okay, gets it.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's so many classic moments that do happen here at the Commerce, and Scott and I were kind of taking note of them as we walked in.
Or in LA in general, too.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the LA Poker Classic. There are many classic things.
Like, it's classic
poker.
That when Table began in one of the prelim events that there were...
Did you say when Table began?
Table began, yeah.
Really?
Classic. That's a classic Stapes moment. Preparation and perseverance. Those are my two P's that I use.
You also earlier referred to your apartment as a hotel room also.
Well, yeah, but that was as a bit.
No, but I mean, you didn't say apartment to drive home the joke. You ended up still calling it a hotel room again.
These things happen.
I think we should do that from now on, though. We should call it when table begins.
When table begins.
You're just so good. Why is it that even when you mess up, it's hilarious? Why? When table begins, and it cracks me up.
It's because I have you to
table begins.
Because I have you to point it out. Now, typically, when no one else when you're not on the show, that just goes by unnoticed. Table begins.
Barry's of course, we used to call it table begins back when before everybody started playing poker. When you play stud, you call it table begins.
Barry's even worse than me. Barry just thinks many, many words are interchangeable that are not, if you ever listen to him. Anyway.
I don't listen to Barry.
When play began,
other than when he's firing me from the phone.
When play began on some of these prelim events, there were like 2 people at every table. Some tables had less than 1 person, and it's very classic for everyone to be late for a tournament in LA because it takes forever to get here, no matter what time of day it is.
They used to start these tournaments like 4:30 in the afternoon, though.
Right.
I just always thought that was psychotic. Like, why here of all places? Are they adjusting for the time difference? What's the story? Why are we starting tournaments at 4:15? It was always a terrible idea, and that's been fixed, right?
That has been fixed. It's noon, yeah.
Matt Savage would not let that shit fly.
But you got to leave at 9 a.m. to get here by noon. So that's one classic thing.
Didn't you have Matt Savage on last night? I mean, I hate to keep derailing you, but it's so much fun that you're the host and I'm the guy who just gets to have my random musings come out all the time.
Yeah.
But Matt Savage is pulling at least double duty here, right? Because he's got World Poker Tour, and he's the actual tournament director of the whole shebang here at the very corrupt Crown Plaza.
Yes,
casino,
that's right. The corruption trickles.
He just
stops
must be all
at Matt
over the
Savage.
place, that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what his other projects are at this point, but he's the executive director of the World.
Actually, maybe it's easier for him because he's already directing this tournament. All right, whatever.
So Scott and I were coming up with some other classic moments.
Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah.
Did you see Hassan Habib downstairs?
Yeah, I saw him.
Hassan Habib, Johnny World, that's the one thing that feels like 2005. Maybe it's because I haven't been around since 2005,
yeah.
But it's really a walk down memory lane downstairs with Hassan Habib and that dude. We saw, who did you say, C.K. Hua playing heads-up Chinese poker?
Against John Vuong's sister.
Yeah. Just taking C.K. Hua down.
Who's the favorite in that game, Johnny V? C.K. Hua or your sister, Alex Vuong? He's shaking his head. He doesn't know.
John V doesn't know who the favorite is. Don't tap the Can Kim fish tank. I'm sure Can Kim's a huge fan of this show. CK. Hua, yeah, he loves
he writes in. The thing is, he writes in too much, and I can't read them all. It's like, okay, we've had enough, Can Kim. Can Kim stop writing? That's what I said back to him. Scott, what's something classic about the Commerce here that you've noticed?
The Commerce are classic about L.A. I'll tell you, there's a classic thing that happens. There's this classic rumbly feeling in your stomach whenever you enter the Hollywood Park Casino. I have never taken a person to Hollywood Park for the first time or any subsequent time where they have not had the classic feeling of having to take a dump the minute you walk in to the Hollywood Park Casino. Total classic L.A. poker situation.
John Vuong, who it looks like the Buddha when he smiles like this, by the way, is cracking up, and he agrees.
When you die, right? When you die, sometimes your bowels will evacuate, right?
Yeah.
If you get killed or something, your bowels could just evacuate. So I think to save yourself the embarrassment.
Why
of
do
getting
they say
shanked,
it like that? By the way, your bowels evacuate, or your bowels like, we got to get the fuck out of here. This shit is going down. We gotta
literally, the shit is going down. We've been in here long enough.
Get to the escape pods. Let's go.
Men, women, and children first. All three of them. Men first. Tables last.
You're not just dropping the kids off at the pool. You're also dropping off the men, women, and kids off at the pool.
All of them off at the pool.
Evacuate.
No, I think you just know that there's like a better than average chance that violence will be.
You're going to die.
Yeah, that's something that someone will actually be violent towards you, and so you know just to get it out now in case you die. You don't want to be the guy who died and shit himself leaving Hollywood Park at 4 a.m.
Yeah, I heard this
stabbed in front of a church's chicken.
I heard this story that Phil Ivey, the first time he walked into Hollywood Park, didn't have to take a shit, and that's how they knew he was destined to be great.
He was the golden child.
Yeah, he walked in. He was like, what? My stomach feels fine.
They give you, the thing is, too, when you walk in Hollywood Park, right on your left, there's 2 bathrooms. You walk in, and it's like they're saying to you, just go ahead, evacuate your bowels.
The bowels.
Ivy walked in, he looked right, and everyone just gasped and got silent. They went...
Now, do you think that feeling occurs? Do you think that as human beings, maybe we all share emotions like through the ether, and that since everyone in there is probably in fear for their life for losing their last dollar and all the money that they owe and all the troubles that they have, that you just immediately feel the same way when you walk in, like just absolute despair?
It is classic LA, though.
Classic.
It's classic Los Angeles, because that doesn't happen to you at the Bellagio Poker Room. It doesn't happen to you at the Wynn. It's all very inviting. It's all meant to feel like adult Disneyland. Hollywood Park is like, shit is about to go down. Shit is about to go down, so get it out now. You're fighting for your life and for every dollar.
I was thinking another classic LA moment would be like a mixed-race tranny going down on Ray Davis. You know what I mean? That's a classic. That's a classic LA moment. Santa Monica Boulevard? No?
Is Ray Davis still around?
I haven't seen him.
Guy had the sharpest teeth I've ever seen.
Really?
Ray Davis, you ever notice that?
No.
Sharp teeth, that guy. Yeah, how could you have never noticed Ray Davis had
I don't
triangular
think
teeth?
I've ever interviewed the guy. So
Raymond Davis blew up? Wasn't that you? You didn't interview him?
No, that wasn't my show. That was when Ali did the show, I think.
Oh,
Ali.
really?
Remember Ali?
Yeah.
Ali Najad?
You better believe all 140 pounds of Ali is coming for you.
I do believe. There's another classic moment, too, here at the Commerce and most other LA casinos. The classic guy who finishes your food when you leave it sitting there too long. Have you seen that one? John, have you seen that move? Like you go to the bathroom, come back, and there's some guy like knee-deep in your fried rice. And you're just like, no, I wasn't going to finish that, but that's just weird.
I'll tell you what, as long as we're on food things.
Yeah.
How about the classic use of the word porter for a food service person in Los Angeles casinos? Never have heard that word before. Never hear it anywhere else. I never hear anyone asking for a porter unless I'm in an LA casino. It is the classic use of the term. What is porter? Where does that come from? Is that a boat term?
Well,
why do people here refer
porter
to people as
means
porter?
to carry something.
Right.
So it's the guy that carries the food to your
But why is that
table,
like a vocab word I had never heard? I am a college-educated man.
Old school. I like to ask for porters in places where they don't have them, like at McDonald's. Excuse me, is there a porter nearby?
Does it refer to a person, or does it refer to what they bring it out on?
No, I think it's the person is a porter, like a bellhop or a reporter.
Okay.
Not even close to the same thing, though. A porter and a reporter.
But I've never heard anyone say food service or waiter or anything. It's always porter.
Sometimes they'll say service. They'll say, can I get service? By the way, yeah.
You have heard porter, though. You can attest to this, that this happens all the time?
I've only heard it here in Los Angeles. Yeah, I've never heard it anywhere else.
It's an LA
Except
poker
for maybe like
classic.
Like a 1920s Humphrey Bogart movie, but that also takes place in LA, I'm pretty sure. So kind of cancel each other out. Yeah, what else do we have? What are also classic moments here? How about the classic guy who very obviously hits his flush draw and then gets upset when you check behind, but in order to not try to look upset, just kind of shrugs, like, I didn't have a flush anyway. The classic
shrug.
Did
this just happen to you like 10 minutes
yes,
ago downstairs?
Yeah, the classic shrug.
Very jaded. Very upset about this. Yeah, this is a very specific thing.
No, it was like
that
this guy like very obviously hit his flush draw and then like checked the river, and the guy checked behind, and then he was just like, shrug, whatever. Like, whatever. I didn't need to. Whatever. It was worth a shot.
Classic moment from 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if it goes this deep into the classic. What about the classic... Well, what did I have? Oh, yes, the classic Asian man falling asleep at the table also happens a lot at Hollywood Park, only to wake up with Jack 3 and then run you down with it.
Jack 3 is huge.
He wakes up with Jack 3.
Yeah, I've been waiting for best hand I had all night. Best hand I had all night. Jack 3. Suited. It was suited.
Classic.
Classic suited. Classic suited cards.
Do you see in Vegas, again, I hate to always compare it to Vegas here, but Vegas, I don't see as many people sleeping at tables. Like LA, there are people who definitely, that's where they get their night's sleep. I've seen it many times.
No, most people at LA casinos are homeless.
It would seem so.
Also, there's the classic guy yelling at you for raising with an ace because you ruined the jackpot. Something only happens in California.
So much jackpot talk.
The best piece of advice I ever got was at a limit table here at Commerce, and this guy goes, "Hey kid, let me give you a piece of advice." At a 2-4 limit table. Always see a flop.
That is, if there is one thing in this world that makes poker more enjoyable, it's not having a jackpot.
Yes, right?
In Florida, they have these monster jackpots in these poker rooms that are like, my mom hit one of those for like $75,000. She hit it for like 24, the lower share, for having pocket fours beat by pocket jacks or something, or the other way around. Who gets it? The bad beat person gets the bigger
who loses.
She had the 4 jacks, and the other guy had the 4 fours. But that's all anyone talks about when you're at a jackpot table is the effing jackpot. and they get mad at people for not playing certain hands that could be jackpot hands.
This happened
like you
tonight.
don't play a suited connector in a fucking two-way pot and you're an asshole.
This happened tonight. Guy asked for setup, which, by the way, is mostly a California thing. People calling for new cards. Guy asked for setup, and the guy in the one hole goes, hey, man, that guy just asked for a setup, and I thought he was going to complain, it's stupid, like whatever. And he goes, doesn't he know that it's double jackpot right now? Because while the Lakers game is on, it's double jackpot. So this guy just wants to get as many hands in as possible during jackpot time.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to waste it, like waiting for a wash and all that. People love the jackpot.
Little piece of advice. If you're going to the casino to play poker to hit the jackpot, stay home.
Just play the numbers.
Just stay home. Exactly. Play the ponies. Another classic move, but that's only at Hollywood Park. The guys who care way more about betting the horses than they do about playing poker.
I think the LA Poker Classic should be at Hollywood Park, it sounds like.
I think it should. So many classic moments. Let's move it to Hollywood Park. I say why don't we get NAPT LA to go over to Hollywood Park?
That would be amazing. That would be like my home. That would where I cut my teeth.
How about the classic rebuy tournament in LA where none of the final tablists can break even? How about that classic moment? They can't break even. It is not possible.
The classic rebuy tournament where you must win to break even, and somehow you get out before sundown. Tournament starts at noon. You're done at like 4:30. It's very quick.
Classic. Again, I think we may be referring to Hollywood Park with that one, but I remember that old rebuy tournament at Hollywood Park, the $10 buy-in with the $20 rebuys, and it was just no one at the final table could conceivably break even unless they won the next 6 tournaments they played. Was not possible.
Anyway, this tournament here at the Commerce was a classic. Unfortunately, like all good things, it has come to an end. Scott Hoff, one more time. That's right. But it's come to the end for us here at Poker Road. One more time, Scott, if you could give us a final table preview. You know what? I can do it. First in chips, we've got Carlos Mortensen with $5.2 million. Next is Vivek Rajkumar with $5.1 million. Amir Lahavit next, $4.1 million. Gregory Brooks, $2.3. Daryl Fish, $2.2 million. And Steve Gross, $1.3 million in chips. I'd have to say that if you follow poker at all, you got to really be, if you're a casual poker fan, Carlos Mortensen is a beast, and he finished 8th here last year.
Carlos is for closers, buddy. Yeah. This guy is taking it down. Period.
Carlos has a sick record in these events.
He's your Rise player of the day today as well.
Absolutely. But, there's some other very exciting people here. Vivek, of course, Daryl Fish and Steve Gross all are up-and-comers in the online world. And Daryl Fish, it's his first WPT final table, so we wish him the best of luck. He, of course, was our guest. We thank him for stopping by. Scott, anything you have to say about any of these competitors here before we take it to the hole?
I just think Carlos Mortensen takes this thing down. I don't know how he doesn't. I mean, anyone can get unlucky in poker, but I think you're looking at Carlos Mortensen. Would that make him the first 4-time World Poker Tour champion?
Yes, it sure would.
I believe it would. So, hey, I'm pulling for Carlos here, but lots of guys I'd like to see win. And Amir Lehavot, everybody. You got a little history lesson about that guy.
That's right. Well, kids, we're going to be coming to you from the big event coming up next. Just want to remind everyone, Season 9 World Poker Tour every Sunday at 8 and 11 p.m. Check it out there. Check out the Poker Road forums. I want to thank our guest, Daryl Fish. I want to thank our special guest host, Scott Huff. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to thank Jessica Wellman for stopping by. Scott, by the way, couldn't cash in on that $1,000, huh?
I thought you heard me almost in the background get a question out, but D-Fish is too much, man. And if he wins, forget it.
Scott almost got a question out, but instead vomited out of pure fear.
Daryl Fish winning, big time.
Scott's calling it right now.
Charlie Sheen style winning. I'm just saying he's winning in life. I don't mean he's winning.
He's a life.
Carlos Mortensen's still winning.
Thanks to all those folks. We'll be coming at you guys next from the big event, I guess is going to be called. Until next time, this is Joe Stableman saying, always take the best of it.
The world I love, the tears I've dropped to be part of the wave can't stop. Ever wonder if it's all for you? The world I love, the trains I hop to be part of the wave can't stop. Come and tell me.